We'll be talking about enterprise security and SSL interception and also cloud visibility. So fundamentally, the challenge, I think everybody understands that SSL traffic is growing. Right now, it's about 60% of the total traffic. How do you get to see this traffic? And the enterprise security stack is blind to this traffic, and then the attackers are hiding into those SSL streams. Or majority of the security stack today do not intercept traffic. So that's one big problem we see. The other big problem we see is that in the age of cloud and SaaS applications, how do you get full visibility from on-prem data as well as from the off-prem data? There are solutions for SSL interception, for cloud proxy and CASB type solutions as well. What we are doing is that we are taking a solution-based approach, and we are taking one big problem and giving you a unified pane of glass using our Harmony controller. And that is what we have developed. And Babar and Mubin will show us that demo and go through, do your walkthrough. Keep in mind that this is the first time we are showing this demo. This is a work in progress. It will be released by end of Q3, but nonetheless, it's in a pretty good shape. We are showing you a demo of that. Babar, over to you.
Thank you, Yasir. So I don't have a lot of time. I'm like 40 minutes short, so I'm just going to fly through this. Try to keep up. All right.
Good luck.
All right, so let's define the problem here. We have a typical enterprise network. We have the security stack. All of your traffic is going through the security stack. So you have your encrypted traffic, you have your unencrypted traffic, and then on top of that, we're adding this huge load of SaaS traffic that's going through the same security stack. Now, at each point, at each hop, you're trying to decrypt the traffic, you're inspecting it, you're re-encrypting it, and sending it out. That adds a lot of latency at each hop, and when you put it together, it just collects into this huge pile, and that's a big problem. And why is that a big problem today? Because in the SaaS world, what you can't really afford to have latency. Sure, we've put all of the apps, or we are trying to put all of the apps up in the cloud, but at the same time, we expect it to work exactly the way it would if it were on-prem. So latency is a big issue. Finally, if you can have these patchworks, like you can have these small solutions where you keep on upgrading your proxies and your security devices, but that's a temporary solution. It's not something that is scalable. You can upgrade them once, but then SaaS traffic is growing, encrypted traffic is growing. You're going to have to do those upgrades over and over again, and those are just costly because each hop, every device, you have to upgrade it. So how does A10 solve these problems? So what we did is we take your security stack, we actually push it into this logical secure decrypt zone, and our Thunder device will basically take in all the traffic. It will classify it into SaaS and non-SaaS. The non-SaaS traffic is simply going to be decrypted and sent out to the security devices in clear text, so that security devices can just inspect it without having to worry about decryption and re-encryption and all of those things. So that, in effect, also boosts the performance of these security devices. At the same time, we are not going to send all the SaaS traffic to the security stack. So that also offloads the SaaS traffic from those guys, and they just have another boost in the performance. What we do with the SaaS traffic, and if we take an example of Office 365, they actually prefer that you classify the traffic, separate it, send it out directly to the cloud instead of doing anything to it. At this point, one other issue that you might have is you have these authorized users, or you have these authorized apps for a specific organization. Let's say we use Office 365 here, but we're not allowed to upload company files to, let's say, Dropbox, for example. That can be an issue. That is where tenant access control comes in. We can actually help Office 365 identify whether we are allowed to upload certain files to Office 365, others to Dropbox or not. If someone is violating that that administrative decision that you've taken, then you can seriously take action on that. Finally, we'll also talk about centralized management, because once you have these distributed deployments, you have to be able to look into the cloud traffic going to the cloud. You also have to be able to look at the on-prem devices, what kind of traffic is flowing through, what kind of applications you're accessing, so on and so forth. So that's why you need to have the single pane of glass centralized management system. We're going to go through a quick demo for our SSL Insight, which is the decryption solution that I just talked about. And we're just going to show you how easy it is to configure, deploy, operationalize. Because one of the issues that we've seen with such solutions is that, sure, you can buy a decryption solution, but sometimes they're so complex that they just sit on the shelf. You never get to really operationalize them. And that is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make it simple enough for you to just get started. And then later on, obviously, you can add more advanced features to it and tailor it according to your requirements.
While they're connecting to the demo there,
yes.
What's your take on the fact that everything is going encrypted? Because I mean, like SSL interception and decryption is I'm just gonna say my opinion. I think it's a dying thing. Like, I mean, I know you guys are doing it, and I know that customers are demanding it. So I get that, but Chrome here in the next couple of months, right? If your site is not encrypted, it's going to mark it as unsafe. Like everything is moving towards encryption, and there's diminishing returns or an increased complexity and requirements in being able to decrypt all of that traffic.
Especially with TLS 1.3
yes.
being mandated for PCI as of now.
Let me
right?
take that question. I think, first off, the need for decryption is a real need from a corporate standpoint. They need to see to enforce their DLP policies and other policies. If 100% traffic is encrypted, then 100% traffic has to be inspected as well. The fact that 100% traffic is encrypted does not mean that corporations will give up their security policies. So that's not going to happen. Number one, whatever sites needs to decryption, it has to be done. Yes, for compliance needs, you will bypass financial and healthcare sites. Coming to TLS 1.3 question, true. So in TLS 1.3, again, TLS, as you probably alluded to, or at least from the specs, it's clear that even the host name is encrypted. Everything is end-to-end encrypted. It will not be easy to put compliance in. The way we solve that, and again, this is a differentiated in our architecture. It's a full proxy solution. So client to our decryptor, it's going to be any protocol, could be TLS 1.2, and us to internet will be TLS 1.3. So we give you full TLS 1.3 protection on the server side. On the client, on the corporate side, we give you TLS 1.2 so that we can comply with the regulatory policies. At the same point, do decryption as well to comply with corporate policies.
What about HSTS?
HSTS is a dying thing, and in some cases, there's HPKP. That's certainly not an issue. I would say an issue, but majority of the corporations or the websites are getting away from that. HSTS, on the other hand, is a simple a few SSL headers that talk to me only on SSL. We have, as I mentioned, we are a full proxy solution. We can decrypt the entire payload, and we can see what headers are there. We can decrypt, re-encrypt,
So the client,
remove headers.
the point here is that the client has to trust the interception.
Correct.
Sure.
Right, so once you get to 1.3, you have to, the initiated connection from the SSL interceptor to the destination site. So your connection to Google, for example, would need to be 1.3, but inside the corporate network, it'd be 1.2.
Right.
So it's a downgrade attack.
Yes, I mean, thank you for using the right terminology. Yeah, but I mean, also when you're talking about PCI compliance, so does that really meet the requirements? Because internally it has to be encrypted.
It actually means that you're breaking PCI at that point.
Not really. Like, I'm not sure why would you say that. Maybe I'm missing something. So.
I mean, because PCI puts particular portions of your network in scope, right? Like,
yes.
And so what you're saying is that for the section that's actually in scope for our audit and our inspections,
yes.
We're going to use the version of encryption that isn't what PCI is mandating.
So
like
PCI is mandating TLS 1.3. That's it. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
TLS 1.3 is not even out. So
1.3 has been ratified.
we just ratified now, right?
Right. 1.2 is now. You're right. It was 1.2 just went into minimum.
Correct.
Is 1.2 right?
So again, we can take it offline, but nonetheless, on PCI side, the encryption standards are there. The type of ciphers which are required, they will certainly be supported and are supported in 1.2 as well. 1.3 certainly is a much more advanced encryption standard, true. And again, maybe I'm missing something, but we'll try to be as much compliant with PCI.
Be flexible too. There are moves afoot in the banking industry to hack back 1.3 into a weaker security standard to allow for interception. They've made big moves in the ITF that the ITF's resisting, and who knows which way.
Right. So, I mean, just to rehash my initial question, not to rehash it, but just to kind of reframe what you're saying, you don't think it's going anywhere, and that's really what I was asking. You think that even though encryption is going up and the cost of inspection and decryption is going to increase because of the computational power required, you think the enterprise demand isn't going anywhere because of compliance reasons?
We believe not only compliance, but security reasons. If I'm distributing malware on my website and if I go to TLS 1.3, that automatically does not mean that I have a free license to distribute malware to everyone. And that is where corporations will have this security needs, and they will enforce that.
Okay.
That's just our view. Maybe we're wrong, but that's our view.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking. I mean, because it's a contentious topic, right?
I mean, understand that,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, so the demo's up. This is the start screen of our SSL Insight. We call this the app-centric templates. It just gives you a quick configuration wizard. The basic focus here is on ease of use and ease of deployment. So on the first screen, you see this topology, which basically gives you an idea of what you're about to do to your network. You can select your ingress and egress interfaces. At the same time, you can select interfaces going out to or coming back in from the security stack. At this point, we are only showing one security device, but you can obviously have multiple. You can do IP-less deployment, or your device can have IPs on it as well. If you select the IPs option, then your device can either be transparent or explicit. You just simply enter the IP addresses and move on to the next step. On the next screen, we just give you one option. So if you're receiving traffic on tagged or untagged VLANs, you just enable that and then enter the VLANs that you're looking for. Going to the next screen, I know I'm going a little fast, but it's just not enough time. All right, so certificates. Obviously, since we're decrypting, you need to have a CA certificate installed on the system so that you can proxy the server certificates. You can either create your own or import certificates. We already have one, so we click Next and move on to the inspection section. Here, we are going to inspect SSL traffic, so we've enabled HTTPS port. At the same time, you can have dynamic port decryption, so traffic coming in on any port, as long as it's encrypted, we're going to decrypt that, and application visibility, so that we can have a detailed look at what kind of application traffic is flowing through our network. Going to the bypass section, this is an optional step. We were talking about compliance earlier. So if let's say you're not allowed to decrypt healthcare information or banking information, you can simply bypass that by using either web categories that we get from the cloud periodically updated. You can do it by specific domains or specific source or destination IP addresses. Check the validity of the license on this screen as well, so on and so forth. Going to the next step, we have the review section. So here you can review the topology, see everything's in the correct order. If you click Finish, it shows you the configuration the way it would look like on the CLI. So you can confirm all of the changes that you're trying to make to your network. You either apply, or you can click the copy button if you want to just copy it to the clipboard and look at it in detail later on. We're not going to apply the settings here, but we go to the dashboard because this is we have some live traffic running in the back. So we also provide you this dashboard with the app-centric templates, and it's a pretty detailed dashboard. You can look at the percentage of traffic being decrypted or traffic being bypassed, what categories are being accessed, what categories you're mostly bypassing the traffic for. You can also look at the SSL traffic, the amount of SSL traffic versus the traffic that you're decrypting or bypassing, so on and so forth. Key exchange methods. At the same time, at the top, we have different tiles. But this is not just it. If you want to customize this dashboard, you can click on the widgets button and simply just add your own widgets, add your own tiles. So it's fully customizable according to your needs. You can filter down based on the device type that you have. So this basically just gives you a really detailed look in a very consumable and easy to understand way of what you did to your network and what's going on, how much of your traffic is decrypted, so on and so forth. This is a drill down on the app traffic. So you can actually look at how much of the traffic was going to which app and how many connections were going out to it. So it's a very useful dashboard. Now I think we're going to move on to. Can you go back to slides? So one other thing, I've been talking about the centralized management, and I think Raj and Saurabh and a bunch of other people talked about Harmony Controller and how we have these use case-based apps on the Harmony Controller for centralized management. So this is a typical Office 365 use case. You have your HQ. But at the same time, you have multiple branch offices. What you want to do, and what Microsoft actually recommends as well, is you send all of your non-Office 365 traffic or your normal internet traffic back to the HQ, because that's where your main security stack is. So it can be decrypted, inspected, sent out. But what you do with the Office 365 or SaaS traffic here is you break it out, classify and break it out locally, and send it directly to the cloud. In this case, the reason I'm talking about this is I want to emphasize that in this case, you need to have a single pane of glass management and visibility solution specifically for cloud visibility, because since you're bypassing all of the traffic, none of your security devices are looking at it, and you need to have that cloud visibility to figure out what's going on, how much traffic is going out to the cloud as well. Like I said, so we're going to demo a use case app specifically made for Office 365 on the Harmony Controller. So if we go to the next demo. All right, so this is the Office 365 app that we have. At the top, you can see that you can have multiple branches. If you click on that, it gives you an aggregate of all the information based on the different branch offices that you might have. They can be anywhere on the globe. Right now, we have 4, and we're looking at the averages of traffic, total destinations, so on. If we go back to the main dashboard, you can actually you have different charts over here as well. So you can actually look at traffic by day. So by the day of the month, you can actually look at how much traffic was going out to sanctioned versus unsanctioned apps. So if, let's say, on a particular day, traffic is going out to some unsanctioned app, like let's say you're not supposed to upload traffic to Dropbox, but there's like a huge amount of traffic going out or a lot of files being uploaded, you can actually drill down on that and figure out which user was doing that. And then maybe if they had some malicious intents or anything like that, you can actually hold them accountable to that. Similarly, you can drill down on the branch offices as well. You can go into the details of the branch offices, and you can go down all the way to per day basis and look at the traffic going out from each branch and which app, so on and so forth. If we look at the chart on the left side, we also have the option to look at specific applications. So if we take the Office 365 suite, within that, we can look at each and every application separately. What kind of events were being generated for that, how much traffic was going out. If we scroll down a little bit, we can also look at the geolocations of your users, how many users from which location are accessing the cloud. And at the same time, we can look at how much traffic is going out, how much of disk usage is happening on the cloud that you have. Similarly, on the left side, we have other options as well. We actually have run out of time, but I'm just going to briefly talk about those. So you can look at network summary, so network traffic statistics from each of your on-prem devices, but at the same time, traffic going out to your cloud. Similarly, Office 365 summary, so everything related to Office 365. You can look at all the documents, which specific documents are being shared and sent out. At the same time, users, how many users do you have on Office 365? Sharing, so in sharing, you can actually look at which documents are being publicly shared, which are not being publicly shared, so on. Finally, you can also have, you have activity logs and policies and different things like that. So it basically just gives you that one location, one screen from which you can manage all of your branch offices, your HQ, your on-prem, your cloud deployments, everything. And that is the main focus of this demo as well.